Now we move on to the workshop. And the first workshop item, 8.1, is a presentation discussion and possible action on a tourism update. Mr. Jeremiah Cook will make that presentation. I think I note you have some members of your committee, the tourism committee, in attendance here, and I'm glad to see them as well. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to bring a tourism update on everything that's been going on from the tourism division there in the Economic Development and Tourism Office. Jeremiah Cook, Assistant Director for Tourism. I always like to start these presentations with our mission statement, which is to grow and diversify the local economy through tourism. I think it's really important because there's two really key words there. It's growing our local economy. We understand that tourism isn't just nice to have here, that it is actually vital to the work that we do here. It's vital to our local businesses, and the work that we do is vital to them as well. And then also, it's diversifying our local economy. It's ensuring that while our economy is extremely dependent on everything that Texas A&M is and continues to drive here, that we can continue to bring more and more people into our local restaurants, into our local retail, and that they can continue to help us in this role. So first, I'm going to give a quick update on where the tourism economy stands, some research and statistics on that, and then I'll work through some of the things that our office is doing to help contribute towards that. So this chart is an occupancy, so it's about hotel occupancy in College Station since January of 2024. And in it, you can see that 100 is the prior year, and so everything above the 100 dash line would be greater hotel occupancy than the prior year. Obviously, everything less would be less than. And so since January of 2024, 9 of our 15 months were at or above the previous year in hotel occupancy. You can see that the 2024 year was actually 4.3% up over 2023. And then you can even see that as we've only gotten numbers through March of 2025, so just the last 3 months, we're holding steady, almost running exact even at 0.2% increase there. We also have our ADR, which is our average daily rate. So this is the rate of all hotels across the College Station market, aggregate of that. And the same style chart, you can see that 12 of the 15 previous months were at or above the previous year. So really excited about continuing to see this growth from our hotel side and that 8.9% growth in 2024 over 2023. This is something that we were watching really closely because we wanted to ensure that when we reported out that there was growth in rate, that it wasn't just keeping pace with inflation that we all saw and that the tourism economy saw as well. So we were excited to see that 8.9%. And that even though occupancy is holding rather steady in 2025, we've already seen a 5.7% increase in the first quarter of 2025 on the ADR side. So not just looking at a bubble or living in a vacuum here, we want to show a few of our comp sets. So this is actually a comp set of other national college towns. So you can see Tallahassee, Gainesville, and Norman. These 3 towns have a lot of similarities to College Station, and so they're ones that we benchmark off of. And you can see that in 2024, the calendar year, that we actually led this comp set in occupancy, in ADR growth, and in RevPAR growth. RevPAR is revenue per available room. It's a combination of occupancy and ADR together. So we were excited to see that across the nation, in our comp set, we were leading in growth last year. This is looking a little bit more locally, and you can see that in comparison to college towns or other towns of our size in Texas specifically, compared to Lubbock, Amarillo, and Beaumont, that we also led in occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR growth. So it was a really, really good year for the tourism economy, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what that entails. I think that the easiest thing that we could jump to is that we added 2 football games in the middle of summer. But it's actually much more complex than that. It was not that we actually saw one of the largest growth year over year in July which those events were in June. So it was a lot more than that, and I'll talk a little bit more tonight about exactly what was going on in 2024 to make it such a blockbuster year. All of these hotel stats, they kind of culminate in this statistic that we get from the state of Texas, which is that $469 million were spent by visitors in College Station in 2024. And I think that number is really interesting because it is up 7.8% year over year. So we know that visitors were here spending a lot in our community during 2024. While we can't discount the impact of football weekends to the spending, to this hotel market, we also understand that football comes 7 times a year. Last year we got lucky and football came 9 times in the year. But even if we run it at 7 weekends per year, in perspective, that is 3.8% of the 365 days a year, right? And so our team works really hard every day to ensure that the other 351 days a year are filled with tourists that help drive our local economy. Our conventions and sports team worked last year to bring in 66,363 room nights. And that's in partnership with Parks and Rec, with A&M Athletics, with our local hotels and local meeting spaces. But that shows a 14% growth year over year. So we brought in 14% more room nights in 2024 than we did in 2023. The thing that I'm most excited about on this stat from our staff side is the 2,338 prospecting efforts that our team took on during the 2024 year. That is everything from cold calls to cold emails to meetings in Austin to trade shows across the country. Every single day, our conventions and sports team is coming into the office trying to find new ways to bring different events to town to continue to grow and diversify our local economy. Some of those equal a really big summer. Obviously, as you all know, we invest a lot in times when our economy needs it the most, which is during the December time, during Christmas, and during the summertime, the 2 times that students leave, and there's a bit of a void here locally. And so this is just a small snapshot of what we've got coming this summer. Some of these events you've seen before. I always say that Dave Campbell's 7 on 7 has found its way into our community fabric because it really is something that people look forward to year over year, and everyone always knows that the last week of June, VPAC is going to be full with 7 on 7 players. Also, we have State 4-H Roundup, which happens over on campus. That is another citywide event that is filling our hotels there across the city. This year, we also, in working with the Parks and Rec Department, have Games of Texas coming this summer. And so the last week of July, this full summer of sports and conventions culminates in 8,000 athletes being here from July 31st to August 3rd. And we're expecting over 4,500 room nights just here in College Station for that event. It's really, really large event. We're excited to be hosting it this year and next year. And for those listening out there, we still need a lot of volunteers. So anyone that's interested in volunteering, you can find more information on the city's website. But these events don't come along by happenstance. They come along by a lot of work day in and day out to bring these things to fruition in our community. From a marketing perspective, as we're starting to kind of drill down where we're going with the Visit College Station brand and where our marketing will be deployed, we really have 4 target audiences that we're going after: leisure travelers, prospective and new students and their families, former students and sports tourists, and then the meetings and sports planners. Each one of these target audiences presents a different aspect of something that people will engage with College Station from a tourism perspective. From leisure travelers looking to see, maybe they want to come on a military tour and they're looking to go see the Museum of the American GI or the Bush Library, to prospective and new students. We know that not only do we have the chance for them to be here for the next 4+ years, but we have the chance to turn them into lifelong visitors that want to come back over and over again. So that's why we make investments in things like new student conferences or partnering with the A&M Visitor Center. Former students and sports tourists are the low-hanging fruit of this target audience. It's the easiest one that we can go to because we know that former students want to come back. You want to experience everything that College Station has to offer. You want to see exactly what it was when you were here, but also how it's grown. And so we continue to invest in that market as well as driving marketing towards our meetings and sports planners. Something we were really excited to roll out this year is our brand book. You actually all have a copy of it at your place there. But it was a collaboration between multiple community partners as well as our marketing agency of record to come together and really talk about what is the College Station brand? Who are we and how do we sell ourselves to the outside world? And through all of those conversations and multiple engagements and Zoom calls and everything else, we've come to this brand book. And this brand book is not only an internal document, but an external document as well, where we want our partners to know how to talk about College Station as well. From this, we actually came up with the new tagline, which is "Learn Why You'll Love It Here." We understand that College Station is thriving, but we also have to lean into the very obvious fact that we're a college town. It's in our name. And so finding that right balance that doesn't alienate visitors that may not be Aggie fans, but also that plays on exactly who we are as a community, I think was really important. I wanted to take a moment and read a small excerpt from that to really give you an idea as to what kind of things the brand book is talking about. It says, from the very beginning, honor and service instilled a sense of humility in Aggies, as students, former students, and supporters would come to be known. And that Aggie spirit permeated the town as well. Folks were friendlier, prouder, and more patriotic in College Station. It was something you could feel in every smiling face and sense in every howdy you'd hear. While virtually everything else about College Station has changed over the years, turning the town into a thriving city and expanding its offerings well beyond the university itself, that spirit has never left us. Instead, Texas A&M University has continued to teach us what being Aggie proud is all about. Now it is our job to go out and teach the world. And so with that framework, we've really started to dig into to the different aspects of our brand. And maybe that's maybe a evolution a little bit of the logo, so you can see that there's some, that we didn't get rid of the logo or make any major changes. It's just a little bit of an evolution as the brand continues to evolve. Also looking at exactly what is the personality behind all of our social posts versus the personality behind our website. Really digging into making sure that everything is within brand for Visit College Station and that it's indicative of who we are as a city. With that, there's really three types of events that we're talking about right now. One of them is, the first one is probably the one that you know best. It's the hyper-local. These are the events that we've kind of become known for, the Howdy Holidays or the homegrown markets. These are markets that allow our local vendors to get out in front of visitors that are already in town. And they're really great opportunities to not only build community, but to continue to drive that economic impact here. But as we continue to grow and we continue to look at what's next, you really get into this experiential side. The experiential side is how do we make a tangible remake of our brand, somewhere where you could go and interact with our brand directly. And maybe this is a pop-up at in Houston where we go down and we take a bunch of College Station products and College Station people and College Station ideas, and we show Houston what we're all about. And then those potential visitors would have a chance to engage and figure out if this is a place they want to visit. Or maybe it's a pop-up at an Aggie tailgate, really understanding what is College Station outside of, I come here for game day and then I go home. And then the last type of event is the signature event. And I think this one is really the main point of discussion that we've been having with our tourism committee, as well as how do we go into the future with this. When we talk about signature events, we're talking about events that are going to drive room nights, that people are going to come in town and stay for a signature event. And so we're still this is still in its infancy, but I think there's some really cool things on the horizon as we continue to boost tourism through the signature event phase to add to what we have to offer here in College Station. And then lastly, our visitor engagement division. So we've talked about conventions, we've talked about sports, we've talked about what's going on our marketing side. And then our visitor engagement team is the team that's actually helping operate our facility. So we've got our visitor center where we're looking at the evolution of our retail and merchandising, the welcome experience, and the mobile visitor center as well. So what is every single way that we're interacting directly with visitors? We're also talking about the event space, the branding of the event space, the booking strategy, exactly who are we going after to book the 1207 event space, and management and maintenance as well. You can kind of see on the right side here that we have a lot more events this year than last year. And part of that is natural growth, but another part of that is the addition of 1 million cups in our facility, which I believe a few of you have been able to join. One of the cool things about having a connected facility to our visitor center is the ability to really dig in on things that help drive our goal and our mission there in the Economic Development Department and as a city as a whole. And so the opportunity to weekly have a group of entrepreneurs come in and join us in the event space is a really great opportunity from an economic development perspective and something that we did not have prior to the event space. We also have a lot going on with the music-friendly initiatives, and so coming up on June 21st, we have Make Music Day. We are still signing up venues for that, but that is a day that we join nationally. There's cities across America and even some across the world that celebrate Make Music Day, and on that day, we'll be pushing out some marketing about it, but there will be music throughout venues across the entire day and across the city, really giving our local artists the chance to display their abilities in our local venues and our local community to celebrate that as well. We'll also be hosting with the Texas Music Office a Texas Music Incubator Rebate Program. I understand why they use TMIR for that, because there's a lot going on there. But this rebate is actually something through the Office of the Governor, and they reached out a few months back and said, there's not a lot of venues in College Station that are participating in this rebate program. And so can we come and actually just do a info session with them? And so through our music-friendly committee, our connections, as well as those within the region, will be hosting an event on June 17th at the 1207 Event Center for music venues to come learn about how they can be involved in the Music Incubator Rebate Program. The last thing I'll mention on the music-friendly side is the Aggieland Music Industry Summit that happened on April 3rd. This was a really cool event where we actually partnered with the College of Performance, Visualization, and Fine Arts and had multiple hours of panel discussions on all sides of the music industry. And so in that room were people not just from municipalities across the area, but also people from the school, as well as artists, as well as sound engineers, all different pieces of it coming together to discuss how they can work better to continue to grow the music industry here in College Station. And I think that's something that we're really, really proud of. As we're looking at planning, this is my last slide. As we're looking at planning and looking into the future, we have the Tourism Strategic Plan. Jones Lang LaSalle has actually been working on the data gathering and beginning conversations here in our community for the Tourism Strategic Plan. And the steering committee will actually begin, which is our Tourism Advisory Committee, the Tourism Committee, will begin on their May 28th meeting actually helping with the steering of that process. And so we're really excited about that, as well as the Convention Center Feasibility Phase 2. We have gathered all the information together, and the data is just being refined, and we're looking to have that on a council agenda at some point this summer to be able to bring Phase 2 back to you. The last thing I'll point out is our new website and our About Us page. If you go to visitcollegestation.com, if you haven't been there in the last 6 months, you'll see a completely new site, which we are super excited about. But we've recently been working on the About Us page because we understood that there was a bit of a void between all of the information that we had and all the information that our partners and our citizens could access. And so we started working on this About Us page to be able to give a place where if you were looking for a central location for all of the tourism committee agendas or the tourism committee minutes, or maybe you wanted to see phase 1 of the convention center feasibility, or even we're working on a widget right now where if you wanted to see the last 6 months of hotel occupancy, all of that information is available there on our About Us page. And it was really important for us not just to give a window into the work that we're doing as a tourism division, but also to help with transparency as we look at that strategic goal of good governance. I think it's really important that people know exactly what's going on with their tourism division. So with that, I will pass it off to Courtney Phillips, the chair of the Tourism Committee, for an update on the committee's work, and then I'll be back up for questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Phillips. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for allowing me to be
Pull
here.
that microphone
Oh,
over.
closer?
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. It's like really high.
You have a much
Okay.
softer, more beautiful voice
Oh.
than the one that preceded you.
Well, thank you. I'll try to speak up a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to say. The committee has only met twice, and we were kind of meeting each other the first time, or the first meeting, but the second meeting, we got to get our hands dirty just a little bit. But as you can see, we have a great group of people representing different facets of the tourism and hospitality industry in our community. And while we have only met twice, it is clear that we are a motivated group ready to support staff's continuous efforts and to help broaden the vision of tourism in our city. We want to take chances and opportunities to do more. We look forward to helping facilitate events, big and small. We have assets both on and off campus that can be utilized for tourism, and our committee hopes to help foster and strengthen partnerships between government, nonprofits, and the business sector to bring in exciting new events and bolster existing ones. Last month's meeting provided one clear message: support, support, support. Everyone, unanimous across the board, everyone wants to support. We want to support Visit College Station's efforts by ensuring that they're properly funded. We want to support events that are known to put heads in beds. And we think it's time to support new ideas and out-of-the-box thinking. The City of College Station has the ability and the hot funds to invest in places and events that draw visitors. The Tourism Committee is ready to help do that. And then here's my next slide. Let's help create a virtuous cycle of tourism for our community. So, thank you. Questions?
We'll open it up. Any questions?
Yeah, let me take the first question, and the tail end of your presentation and the role of the committee regarding the development of a strategic plan for the tourism programs. How is the committee going to be involved, and what I'd like to hear Courtney's thoughts on how she would like to be involved or the committee would like to be involved.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go first. So right now we have really just been gathering data. So everything that we're seeing is just conversations that are being had with stakeholders as well as data gathering. When it gets to actually taking it from a lot of data and into practical applications for the plan, that is where we'll be coming to the committee. And so the last few months, they've really been gathering all this data, but the actual taking it out of the nebulous and into the reality of what needs to happen here in College Station, the committee's the one that's going to be helping with that steering.
Courtney, your thoughts as your committee looks forward to playing that role?
Yeah, we're very excited. We want to be involved. We want to be involved as much as we can. We want to give recommendations. There's a lot of energetic people, and we have a lot of opinions and a lot of knowledge. And yeah, we're ready to work with staff.
A lot of opinions. They don't always agree, though, do they?
Well, they might, but we're doing pretty good so far.
Oh, that's good. That's great. That's what the committee needs to do. Questions from council? Let me start with Mr. Smith or anybody at this end that.
I don't have any questions, but I do appreciate what you guys are doing. I can see a difference in our community.
Hello. just one question, but one statement to start off with. My first strategic planning, whenever that was, ages ago now, I'm so old, I actually asked for like a brand Bible. And I don't know if we didn't have one at the time or whatever, so this was really exciting to see. Not that I have like a ton of experience with it, but I know these things like this exist, and I wanted to see what the city had. And so this is perfect. I don't know, just for my own reference, I think it's great. You mentioned a lot about the Texas Music City, which I'm passionate about. I asked this at the most recent strategic planning, and I kind of want to ask it in public now. The governor's made a huge push for upping film incentives for this legislative session, like $500 million extra dollars. Where can folks go? What are we doing to try to attract any sort of that industry here? We have places where you can film.
Sure. I don't know if Michael wants to take this one, but our film liaison actually lives on the economic development side of the house, and
Yeah, so what we've done with that is we're updating our film guidelines for the city. The other thing that we can do is start to identify kind of those specific areas for filming within the community, making that easier for that industry to locate here in Texas because as they've seen and the governor's office has seen, it's a huge economic driver for the state and can be for this community as well.
With stuff like that, do you foresee A&M being a willing partner, or are they already a partner in that? We really probably haven't had too much experience having to do that.
We haven't had a lot with the filming, but absolutely A&M is a willing partner in almost everything that we do from a tourism perspective or an ED perspective. In a lot of the areas, even on campus, provide great filming opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You all did a great job.
Mr. White?
Jeremy, thank you so much. Great presentation. I love your passion. I love your energy. I think it's fantastic. It's contagious. Let's bring music to this city. I think that's going to be a key. If you could go back to some of your slides, if you don't mind. I'm just curious because you talked a little bit about a convention center, okay? And we talked about, maybe in another month or so. Go back a couple more slides. Do you know of the cities that you compared us to, how many of those, yeah, there you go. How many of those actually have a convention center? Do you know?
Yeah, so I know that this information is in phase 1 of the convention center feasibility study. So I don't know exactly off the top of my head. I do know that Lubbock does, which is the main
sure
one.
Beaumont does.
Yes, I believe so as well.
I'm pretty sure Beaumont. I'm not sure about Amarillo and stuff like that. Yep. Do you feel that would, and I know the study's still being out there and stuff like that, but from your experience in working with other cities, do you think that's an added benefit to bring in tourism to a city, a convention center?
Yeah, I think that the phase 1 of the study showed that there was a demand here and that it would bring more visitors, right? I think the question is always about the ROI, right? That, yes, more visitors would come. Yes, more people would shop in our local restaurants. More people would be in our hotels, our retail. The question is it the right time, and does all of the numbers pencil out?
Yeah, I'm very involved from a nonprofit perspective, and we've talked about the triangle being right in the middle of that triangle and stuff. And one of the 4 groups that you mentioned that y'all work with is the sports and meeting planners. Right. Okay, I think those would have you. What do you do to attract those people? I mean, do you go to TSAE? That's a big association that I'm very involved with. Is that type of events that you go to market College Station?
That's right. So we have 4 people working on our convention side and in sales specifically. One of them is based here at Texas A&M, so her entire job is just ensuring that meetings that are occurring because of A&M professors, because of A&M's expertise, don't go to Austin and Houston, right? We want them to stay here in College Station. And then we also have somebody working we actually have 2 people working the association market. And so they're driving to Austin at least every other week, having meetings with those association executives, TSAE, going to trade shows, both state, regional, and national. And then lastly, we have somebody working the Smurf market, which is social, military, education, religious, fraternal. So all those other things, because that business is really great to help fill gaps. And so association brings a lot of big events. A&M brings a lot of big events, and then you can look at the gaps and plug in some of those Smurf groups. And so we are working kind of all the angles to make sure that we're bringing as much as we can here.
Wonderful. Well, on behalf of Texas 4-H, we appreciate all the support that you give our youth of Texas. So very good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McElhaney?
Thanks, Jeremiah. I think that your group is probably one of the most critical in the city as we try to build and shore up and increase our sales tax revenue. And I would be very interested to see some of this information translated into parallel analysis of the sales tax that's generated. I know that one of the big challenges is trying to get events here during the week. In speaking to Michael, I know that you guys are focusing on short courses. What's the status of that endeavor?
Yeah. So we are working, that's going to be probably a major pillar, I imagine, of the strategic plan. And so our strategic planning company has actually been having meetings with different departments at A&M, all of whom are excited about this, but everybody's asking the same question. How do we get this thing off first base, right? How do we actually start taking off? And so that is what we're really working through right now. We've spent a year gathering all the information, who the planners are. You know, that's the really interesting thing about Texas A&M is that you can't just go online and type in, business event planner at Texas A&M, because it's different in every single professor may be an event planner, but also every admin assistant may be an event planner, or maybe it's a chief of staff. And so we've been working on building that list so that we can continue to be in the conversation when we start talking about how do we actually put on the event ourselves.
The other question that I have, if you can advance one slide. You've got the converted leads to a total of 66,000 room nights. How is that tracked and quantified? Is that directly attributable to the efforts of your office, or is that in conjunction with partners? Yeah,
so I would say that everything we do, we're in the middle of, right? Because we don't own anything. Everything, we can go out and we can get 1,000 leads, but if our hotel partners don't think that's a good piece of business, then us getting the lead doesn't really matter, right? So everything that we have here is in partnership with everyone else. Kind of our rule is that if we count it as a room night, it can't be an assist, which means we just got brought in at the end to give them some visitor guides or something. So we don't count those kind of things where the hotel's gone out, they've gotten the business, they've booked the business, and we're just here to kind of add a little bit of icing on the cake. We count stuff where we were actively involved in the sales process.
Okay. And where did I go? I think for me, the sales tax correlation is really important, and we know we get the hot, but how does that translate into sales tax? And then just the George Strait concert and the soccer game, for example, I would bet we had little to nothing to do with them coming here, but we did reap benefit. It would be very interesting to me to see a breakdown of what revenues and impacts are a direct result of the tourism department's you Visit College Station versus us just jumping on the tail end to support. And I know that there was a lot more than jumping on the tail end on this, but I mean, what amount was our lift for what amount of return?
Right.
So
yeah, and the only thing I would say about that is that we were involved in conversations really early on for both George Strait and the Mex Tour match. But I think that our involvement was far greater in the Mex Tour match because there was a lot more need. And so there was actually a grant that we partnered with Brian on for the State Event Trust Fund for that. And without us going in together, working on that grant, applying for that grant, the soccer match could not have come here. So we were definitely more involved with that one than George Strait. But as we move forward, we also want to be at the table to be able to help ensure that those things get across the finish line.
absolutely. Again, I think you guys and what you do is going to become even more and more critical with the funding challenges that all municipalities are going to be up against. But I would really like to see just a little deeper dive into the meat of how we can look at this for financial forecasting in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Yancey?
Thank you, Mayor. Great presentation, Jeremiah. Courtney, will you please do me a favor and no, Jeremiah, stay up there with her for a second. That's a sight for sore eyes. We don't hear from our committees, right, a whole lot. And this feels like a new era with the committee chair and staff, tourism director presenting together. I feel like we're getting an added level of transparency. I can see Courtney, I know who she is, and before we didn't have that visibility and know. So first and foremost, Courtney, could you commit to coming back to us regularly and letting us know how you think it's going?
Yes, absolutely.
And generally, how do you feel? Does it feel
Very excited.
good?
Yes.
Excellent.
We are very energized and excited right now.
Excellent. Now, I've got some questions. Some of them are for one or both of you. First of all, I 1,000% echo what my esteemed colleague McElhaney said about a deeper dive and us knowing the programming and what's happening with the dollars. What visibility and/or influence do you anticipate the committee having on that budget? Ultimately, we have to approve it, but their input relative to that budget. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so this year is obviously a little bit different because we're on our back foot, right? Because city budgeting process starts much earlier than this committee started, and so trying to get everyone up playing from the same playbook really rapidly, and then talking about a budget is really kind of a quick turnaround because you have different members that have been involved in different iterations of boards and committees around tourism, and others that maybe this is their first time. And so them understanding even the work that we do, it was a step, right? I think the other thing is that we've kind of always done since tourism has come into the city is that all SLAs that we present to the city manager come with the recommendation of the committee. And so that's what we worked through at our last meeting, was going line item by line item through every service level adjustment that we have submitted to the city manager and asking for approval from the committee to really move those forward so that you knew that they had come with the committee's recommendation. I think in the future, with a strategic plan, that process changes more because there's more, you're starting a lot further back and beginning to plan out those SLAs much further on.
And I've heard from a couple of members of her, Mrs. Phillips' committee, not her on this, but on the music-friendly city piece. Are we looking at a $100,000 expenditure for some television advertising? And I had gotten some feedback from committee members that they felt that money might be better spent, or some money might be better spent directing some monies towards somehow partnering with or incentivizing in an incentive-based contract the Brazos Valley Live Music Association, which I understand have had success in bringing live music acts. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I don't want to dive too far into what the city manager is going to bring you all, because we submit to the city manager and the city manager brings that budget forward to you. I would say that the committee approved an SLA to go forward to the city manager for music advertising. And we had included some details about what it would cost to do some television advertising. Last year, as part of our Christmas programming, we partnered with the, we partnered with Texas Music Scene to be able to run some advertising. They actually did, they filmed their Christmas specials from the tap, and we ran advertising that was Christmas and College Station based through that. What this SLA did have some information about about running a more year-long program with that through the Texas Music Scene, but obviously is up to the direction of council and the recommendations from the committee if there's a different direction that we want to go.
And then lastly, there's an event out of
Can I
Houston.
speak on that one just real quick?
Yeah, go
Mr.
ahead.
Yancey? Like Chairman said, we came in a little late, so, there were descriptions of things that had already been discussed, and everyone agreed that that was a good use of the money in the timeframe that we've been given. We didn't specifically speak on the Brazos Valley Live Music Association, but we did kind of discuss more money going to music in the future. I would like to just say that, the committee, council, staff, it's vital that we're good stewards of the money. And I think one of the things that the committee can do is to look into groups and really vet, you know, their qualifications and what they're doing and how long they've been in existence, and if you know, they have their feet under them yet. And, you know, in the future, I think that's going to be a really great organization for this community. But I'm not sure that right now, you know, they're ready to take on maybe funds and such.
Fair enough. I thank you for that assessment. One last one. $300,000 was discussed for a wine and cheese event out at Aggie Park. It's got its roots out of Houston. I understand that its maximum attendees in Houston was 1,500 people. I mean, is that something that's
Do
going
we have
to
this
make the
information?
cut, or?
He's, just a second, I think the question is what? Where is he getting the numbers from?
No, I haven't seen any budget proposed or anything. I'm wondering if I missed
He's getting
something.
this from hearsay, from his own conversations.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Individual
From committee
conversations.
members. Yeah.
From committee members. That, it's not been presented to any of us. He is.
I'm just trying to get a
He's just
feel
digging
for-
into what he's learned from committee members, that's all.
That-
So it's not official discussion of a budget.
No, but also in general, I'm trying to get a feel for, I want to make sure that the committee's suggestions are being acted upon and that the process is working and that our dollar is going to things that will actually put heads in beds.
But remember that the budget comes to us from the city manager, and we'll have those discussions at that time. But I totally understand that you're aware of it and you'd like to get a little bit more information. We've got the right people here, so please follow up.
Yeah, it's a workshop. I thought we could have free-form
Yeah,
discussion. at
this is not a
workshop.
budget discussion, it's a workshop discussion.
Okay.
I mean, it'll be.
I guess that
No, I'm not
concludes my
saying-
question.
Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying you can't ask those questions. I'm just telling Ms. McElhaney, we'll come back to this discussion about budget when the budget comes to us. I think it's every bit appropriate for Mr. Yancey to follow up on questions about how the committee's engaged and all of that.
Then I'll wrap up with this. Is there going to be an index in the budget that will list these specific events that we are identifying to be engaged in throughout the fiscal year?
For sure.
And will the committee see that list of events before it gets rolled up into the budget or have some level of discussion around it?
Yeah, and I think I'll speak to the event you were referencing. 1,500 is a year one projection. They're between 5,000 and 10,000 at a 2-day event currently in Houston and Dallas. And what was agreed upon with the committee was that they wanted to invest in a signature event. And so they unanimously voted to say, yes, please push this forward to the city manager's budget, that we want to invest in a signature event. They also asked staff to come back with more information about this specific signature event and to open up discussion about, is this the right fit at this time? And so that is what was moved forward, is that a signature event was moved forward in the city manager's budget, but we've actually got an item on next week's agenda to talk more about what this specific event is and to open up discussion about whether or not there's other ideas around the table that we need to consider maybe instead of or in addition to.
Well, that's tremendously exciting. Sorry to get into the sausage making of it, but I just want to make sure.
No, I think process is really important,
I do
and
too.
with the formation of the committee and their work with staff it's every bit important for us to understand how they're working together.
And Mayor, if I could just add one thing, certainly when we get into the budget discussions, as we do with all different parts of the budget, our goal is going to be to get you all the best information possible on these different issues. I'm not prepared to sit here and say exactly what will or won't be in that proposed budget or necessarily in what format, but we will be providing you all the information in that city manager's proposed budget, and we'll be prepared to answer any and every question that you all have on it.
Great, thank you. Mr. Schaefer.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't have any questions. My fellow council members have asked a lot of good questions, but I would take this opportunity to make a couple of thank yous. One, Jeremiah, that was a great presentation. You do a very nice job of laying that out. Nice, clear language, good visuals. Courtney, thank you for volunteering your time and energy to lead this committee. This is something I say publicly because I hope more of our citizens will do the kind of thing you're doing. We have a lot of great committees and advisory boards to the city. It takes time and energy. Thank you for committing it. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, council members. I have just one sort of follow-up question that really more about, for Jeremiah, about your comparisons to benchmark cities. Sometimes we learn more about studying cities that we didn't measure up to than cities that we're beating in all of those numbers. And I noticed the 3 or 4 outside the state and 4 inside the state, we're doing better than each one of them. So my question is also a little bit broader. What are our benchmark cities, and who is doing a really great job that maybe we're not quite measuring up, and yet they're in the same basic circumstances we are?
Sure. So it's something that we've explored. Actually, when I got here, I was handed a report with 20 cities on it and was told this is our benchmarks. And I was like, it's really hard to benchmark yourself against 20 cities, so you're constantly trying to run back and forth. And so that was actually something that was included in our strategic planning process. And so while we've got the list of 20, part of what the committee will be helping us kind of whittle down there is figuring out exactly which of those 20 do we really want to put up and say, we're going to start tracking every single month on these 5, these 10. And the way that the RFP was written and the way the contract was written is it wasn't just about 5 benchmark cities, it was about 5 aspirational cities as well. So while I don't have a direct answer today about it, I'm really excited that it's included in our strategic plan to be able to move forward with.
Right. That phrase, aspirational cities, is a good one. I like that terminology. Thank you, and thank you, Courtney, for being here. I echo the comments of others that we'd love to continue to hear on a reasonably regular basis how the committee's interacting and what the work is with the staff. You're a committee that works with the city manager and with Jeremiah and Michael, and we thank you for the time that you and your colleagues are putting into this, because it's a pretty important thing for the city. And then drilling down to the numbers that Ms. McElhaney is really interested in is how does that help us pay the bills? So thank you all. Appreciate the presentation.
Hey, Mayor, just one question or comment relating to also the kind of comment by Councilmember Yancey and the signature event and the $225,000 that was identified for a specific project. One of the things that we're also looking at is, we look at the direct impact that those events will have on our community from an economic standpoint, but also looking at kind of where those crossovers are between tourism and economic development. And so one of the things that we're going through now is our economic development master plan, also going through our tourism strategic plan and trying to identify those target industry sectors where we have a competitive advantages and that we can lean into. It's the same thing on the tourism side. What are the things that we need to be going after, and where can we see some crossover? So if we pick a specific target industry that we want to go after on the economic development side, what are conferences that may be associated with that industry to continue to grow that larger impact that may not just be measured by that one single event that these funds may be bringing?
Thank you very much. We appreciate the presentation and look forward to seeing how all of this plays out.